All right, everybody, welcome. And away we go. It is Wednesday, January the 15th of 2025, and this is the Profitable Real Estate Agent Plan. And just to reiterate where we are at for everybody, hopefully you can see my screen sharing the Profitable Agent Plan syllabus or the outline for the class. Week one, if you go back to look at that recording of, and by the way, the recordings are on the YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel, I believe, is a labeled one. Let me just show this tab for a second. Let me see if I can't get there just to make sure we put you in the right place so you can go back and look at these. I've been trying to make sure that gets organized. I just haven't had a lot of time to see it, but it's on the YouTube channel, and it is as a playlist now, I believe I have made. Where is he? Let's go there for a second. Hang on. So this is the channel, and relatively easy to find. I think that, let me see. I think I was able to label this one early on, I think, the Realty Classroom. But if you just go onto YouTube and you look at the Realty Classroom, that's where this is. And there are playlists in here. And I put the Profitable Real Estate Agent Plan live streams. So you can click on that and it will give you a playlist and you can see what's up there. I think I probably missed a couple when I was. Okay. I'm going to trust that both of these things are recording. Welcome, everybody. It is. So you can go back and see some of those. I'll do my best to go back and see if some of them were not labeled and what I have. One of them might not have recorded. So we'll get better at this as we go along and putting them up there. But we are broadcasting both live here for you on the inside of Zoom. But if you want the replays, we'll be posting them on the YouTube channel. Okay. So as far as where are we at in this whole process, we've talked about the mindset in week one. We've talked about how to establish your financial goal at the very top line as a business person in week two. Very simple stuff. We keep this very simple and high level because this is the strategy we want you to follow. So we don't want you thinking too much. We want you doing a lot. Unique selling proposition. Probably one of the most important moments in my career was when I decided to really dig into the development of a unique selling proposition and making that into an information product. You don't want to miss week three when you can see a replay there. Matching that unique selling proposition package of information with an ideal customer, also known in marketing as an avatar, was week four. Then we talked about leads and where they're hiding in plain sight. I know a lot of agents, when they get into the business, they get all frazzled about leads. Well, leads are everywhere. They're everywhere. And I talked about that in week five. And I told you where some of the best leads are hiding in plain sight. Once you become a paying member of the MLS that you belong to, leads are hiding right in there every month. And, we talked about that in week five. I won't get into the details. But then that gets into some more of the business of being ready to make all this happen. And, how do people really make a decision on you versus that kind of marketing? So weeks 5 and 6 are a little bit of a juxtaposition of what I've learned over time, where there's a little bit of a conflict. I think when I see real estate agents come into the business these days, what I see that a lot of them have a perception about how the business works that's so far off. Really far off. And I think that's important for me to tell you that is that social media marketing can be a very, very slippery slope, right? It can work for you, but not necessarily the way you think it's going to work for you. A lot of people think they're going to get all their leads from social media marketing. So they go through all these machinations of, going to a house and taking pictures. And I'll talk about that. I actually lent one of my listings to a gal that is at Sotheby's, a competitor, right? And I believe in a position of plenty. So she wanted to take a photo shoot. And I said, sure, go in there. And I was thinking to myself, geez, what are you going to do with this? Right. But I told her, hey, let's have a cup of coffee someday so that I can not club her over the head and say, okay, this is all brand imaging and this has got nothing to do with leads, but it does play a role. And we're going to talk about that tonight as we get into social media marketing, because social media marketing has a role in this business. It's just probably not as primary a role as many people think. Okay. All right. Let me get to this. And remember, you know how this goes, right? This is, if you've been here before, if you're not, this is a little bit of a lecture in the beginning. There's a fill in the blank process that I go through. So that keeps you engaged and keeps your brain engaged. I always highly recommend that, like I do next to me on my desk, I have a yellow pad of paper, mechanical pencils, and my weapon of choice. I also have another notebook that I write a lot of things into, projects or ideas that I need to pursue. It's just amazing what happens when you will write something down, get it out of your head. There's too much noise in your head. There's too much misperception in your head. So when I say something on one of these lecture parts that really hits you, write it down, because then it's yours. And sometimes it'll just dissipate when we're talking here and you say, what is it that he said? But if you wrote it down and you captured it, and even at the end of this call, if you wanted to ask me more questions about it, we can dig in. So usually these calls are pretty quick. So we'll see how long it takes me to get through this. I try to really give you a lot of meaningful specifics so you understand why I teach what I do. But remember one thing very importantly, I do this job every day. This is not something that I just teach. I actually do the job every day, and I work very hard at it. So I work on my business like I am tonight, helping you work on yours, and in it. And those are two very different things. So today I drove up to Boston, an hour and 15 minutes away, to show a property, to meet a photographer at another property, because I actually do business in two physical different locations that are about an hour and, varies, but an hour at least apart. So I have to be very organized with my time management. I have to follow my systems. And again, over time, I've built a sales machine team of people that help me do these things. So don't think I'm Superman. I have a really good system, and these are the bones of it that I'm sharing with you. So if you can learn that and you can copy me, don't cherry pick. When I tell you to do something exactly, that's all I know how to tell you to do, right? Is if you follow me exactly, then I know what the result should be. And when it's not that, I can coach you up. But this is a system. It has taken me 25 years to get to this point. And I would say in the last five or so years, it has really refined itself. So we really, really, really know what works. But having said that, tomorrow with my mastermind coaching program and that group there, we will open up mind maps and we will do the dirty work of trying to stitch together always a better system and spending time on the details. But don't think this is just some casual affair for me. I take this business very seriously, and I spend a lot of time thinking about it and working on it, and then share it with you to make it easier, so that you don't have to go through all of that thinking. That's just my philosophy. A lot of people talk about the philosophy of a business or a methodology. My philosophy is to be a person for others. It permeates everything that I do, from coaching to coaching sellers and buyers. That's why this is here for you. That's why this is free. It's a fulfillment of my personal philosophy. You should have a personal philosophy that you attach to, so that drives you. That really becomes your real why. And then all of this becomes strategic first and tactical second, but it's really supported by why would you even be doing any of this at all? All right. Okay. Voila. Here we go. Let's start the slideshow. So each time I do this course, I think to myself, how can I make the message a little bit clearer? So this used to say social media, waste or worth it, right? But I'll just switch that a little bit in the way that I talk about it here, because it's really, you need it and you need to be cognizant of it, but you need to use it correctly if you are going to use it. Because I will tell you at the moment, and it's been 24 months, I just haven't had the time to get to really enhancing some of my social media marketing, but I have done it at a very base level. And you're going to see where I don't do it and where I do it. And where I don't is a lot of the personal branding stuff. And I'll explain why. Okay. So let's get into the details. Now, developing an answer to that question, is this a waste of time, is essential, because you're going to use this worksheet to keep you grounded about what social media marketing really is and how it can be used, how the concept of that global concept, social media marketing, relates to a lot of different media companies. So from your X to your Facebook, to your LinkedIn, to your YouTube. I mean, on and on it goes, right? There are a lot of choices, but we're going to get into something called content marketing here tonight, okay? So is social media marketing important for real estate agents to build their businesses? Well, the answer is of course. I mean, again, of course it is. It's a modern context of the modern world, but I have used social media marketing in all facets since it first started happening. I have spent obsessive hours building social media marketing campaigns to try to get leads to react to me. And only to find out that a social media marketing lead, say a Facebook lead or a Google ad, is not necessarily the same thing as saying what we talked about last week was an expired lead that can come right out of MLS that I can pick up the phone and call, or a lot of my Canadian clients can just go door knock, right? So you really have to understand, it goes back to the week before this, where we're talking about a strategic approach for you to realize, I want you to get as many listings at or above the median price in the geography within which you really want to do business. That is a primary function. That's a primary aim, as Napoleon Hill would call it, in building a very productive, profitable real estate agent plan. Remember, the course is titled The Profitable Real Estate Agent Plan, right? That's what it is. So if you want to be profitable, the main primary focus is to get listings at or above the median. If you just think about that for a second, it's a reasonable request for all of us. I mean, you just pick the geography, make sure there's 800 to 1,000 sales a year, and that's your target, right? But you get into the MLS and you start to find out the median price. You want to try to focus on that and higher. And you say, but no buts. You have to be strategic from the beginning. So when it comes to marketing or lead acquisition, these last 2 weeks in this plan, you have to remember that's the core. Why would you do any social media marketing if it wasn't helping you acquire a prospect first, and then ultimately a client that owns a listing at or above the median? Okay, that's the challenge that I threw to myself. Okay, but of course it does play a role, so it's important. It's not either or, it's and. Okay, I'm gonna say that again. It's not either just going and calling and telemarketing and door knocking and mailing expireds and not doing this or not doing that or just doing that, right? It's both. But you're going to see there are primary roles for some types of campaigns for marketing, okay? And there are secondary roles for others. I'll make an argument, what I've learned, that my social media marketing effort is secondary to the primary telemarketing. So they really just become ways to market your message and to help convert a seller lead into a seller prospect, into a seller client, okay? Before engaging in social media marketing, what is the first critical piece of core content that real estate agents must create? Let that just permeate, okay? We're now talking about content. You've heard the word before, content. But I'm talking about core content. So again, if the self-image, week 1, is that you are going to be a profitable agent, you're imagining this. Hopefully, if you've listened to that first step in the course, you're imagining yourself becoming a profitable real estate agent, listing and selling properties mostly at or above the median price. Okay, so that's what you're thinking. And now you're thinking, well, what core content do I need to create to convince that person to go from a lead to a prospect, right? So when we talk about the unique selling proposition, what week was that again? Let me just take a quick look. That was, so week 3, when you look at week 3 and we start talking about the core content, I have it right here. This is what week 3 was all about, a seller and a buyer information product. I'm not going to go over those in depth right now. You can ask me at the end of this call if you need to show it, but you can go back and listen to week 3 on YouTube. This really is where things are at, okay? This is content. In this case, it's physical, not digital content. But that's where we're starting the discussion. We are not starting just talking about Facebook and X and LinkedIn and all these things as just, those are just places, okay? That's all they are. That's media. Those are media companies. But for you, you have to understand the value of creating core content in the form of a unique selling proposition. And a unique selling proposition is not really an event when you really think about it. But if you start off by giving a seller or a buyer a core piece of content when you're physically with them, whether you telemarket and send it to them, you meet them at open houses, this has made me literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 36 months in particular, stunningly so. I've taken a package this thin that probably costs us, I don't know, $8, $9 to put together, right? And turned it into $87,000 commissions, okay, at the high end. So let that sink in for a second. That's how powerful this can be when you understand core content, right? So before engaging, what's the first critical piece? A local market update, okay? That's the most important piece. I will show this in my hands. I hope you all can see. I know it gets shrunken down here when I'm on this, but this is what that looks like. It's a one-pager, nothing on the back, no rocket science to it. It is a market update that keeps us all honest. We have some fun with the top 10 sales. We have an average price and a median price. There you go. So when you create this piece of content, the first thing you're doing is teaching yourself strategically what your median price is. There it is right there for the year 2024. We just ended. This is November's, but I know we ended at 765 for the year. So I know exactly what the median number is for Cape Cod, and it's 1,074,000. Boston's are different, but I'll just speak with Cape Cod. Average price per square foot, months of inventory supply, average sold days in the market, meaning how long did it take to sell the average house, and the 30-year mortgage rate. Then there's some, inventory. That's a local area market update. And once you have a framework for that, you can hire people, especially on Upwork.com, where I've gone, where those people will go get this information for me. They'll send it over to my designer on 99 Designs. And for very short money every single month, we have our core local content. That is content. Now, of course, this piece of content is physical as I hold it in front of me, but it's also a JPEG. And that JPEG, you're going to see as I go into my website discussion later on, you're going to see what else I can do with this. So the application for this one piece of core content is everything. It's everything because it starts off by educating us. The one reason that I always started with that was because it always drove me batty when somebody would say, what? When they found out you're a realtor. How's the market? They ask it all the time, even if they don't have the context to sell. So it's very critical to understand the content that answers that with meaningful specifics, not the BS wandering generalities that you hear. Well, it's a buyer's market. Well, it's a seller's market. What does that even mean to you? Do you really even know what that means? Or do you just say it because that's what somebody regurgitates to you? Well, what I want to say is something more so, well, it's pretty interesting. On Cape Cod in 2018, so really pre-COVID, we had an average sale of $585,000 with a median price of $412,000. But we just ended 24 with an average price of $1,074,000, very meaningful, specific number, not a million, $1,074,000, and a median price, a median price of 765. It's an incredible change. Well, when you speak like that, because all you simply did was keep up to date for yourself, now your content is being delivered in your speaking too. So even in your casual conversation, in your sphere of influence, you are a meaningfully specific expert that doesn't sound like all the sheeple that are in the business saying buyer's market, seller's market. Ridiculous. Because look at, what if you keep saying, oh, it's a buyer's market right now. It's a buyer's market. How do you think that's going to help you get the listing? Let that sink in. Oh, I want to list my house. Oh, it's a buyer's market right now. It's a buy. Really? Does that mean the seller can't do well? Does that even have anything to do with why that seller wants to sell and how motivated that seller is to sell? No. So what you want to do is you want to create this local area market update so you can talk about the market specifically to a buyer and specifically to a seller. Of course, there are some challenges for seller when the market's tough, when there was a recession. But that's when a plan gets even more important. So listen, it's a little bit tricky for the sellers these days. And yes, the average price is dipping a little bit. So we have some challenges here. But what we can do is we can look at my 7-step plan and we can really go over how to price it right and how to get it in the best condition to get you top dollar. We'll squeeze everything out of it. See what I'm saying? So who cares economically whether the pendulum is swung left or right. We have to do business all the time in every economy. And we are never going to say, well, it's so much easier to do buyers right now. It's so much easier to do sellers. No, you always want to know how to get seller business. So the more adept you are at remembering this and creating it, this is created for me and my company and my team once a month, like clockwork. It's in my inbox by the second. In fact, I've been so busy, I haven't sat down and done my video of it. So I have to do that tomorrow, right? But that's the core piece of content. It is fundamentally the cornerstone. Next, what should the local market update? Well, again, I've just shown it to you. It's the one page, but very statistical information, right? That's what this is. It's stats, it's numbers. And the beauty of numbers and stats, number one, you pay for this already. This is all in your MLS. This all comes out of our MLS, right? That's where we pull the data from. So it's all MLS. You pay for it if you're a member of the MLS. So all we do is pull it out, and we put it in this digestible form. A little bit of fun with the top 10 sales. Everybody loves to know the rich and famous. And then they look at the rest of it. It's interesting. Then you can even make it with calls to action and QR codes that go to the next level. That if somebody sees this, they say, gee, I'm thinking about selling my house. Well, if you scan that little scanner down there, right, that QR code, you're going to see me talking about what? What's in the unique selling proposition package and how to get one from me, right? I'm not saying that anybody really opts in like they used to, but they can go see me talk about this and see what this would be, right? So they see the sophistication in the approach. So it's a one-page statistical market update versus, again, Zig Ziglar, God rest his soul. He was a great platform speaker before he passed. I heard him speak in Boston long ago, and he said, speak in meaningful specifics versus wandering generalities. And that's what happens with most real estate agents. They just wander in these generalities, never saying anything specific. Let's go back to week 3. Why should I do business with you and list my median priced home and above with you, above and beyond all other options out there? And if you looked out the window here in Austinville Village in Massachusetts, there's about 7 real estate companies, maybe even more, right out my window. So why should they choose me above and beyond other options? Because I have a plan, period. I have a 7-step simple plan that I know works, and I stick to it, and I can explain it to you in detail. So I would love to get together with you to go over this and tell you what to do and what not to do as I customize that plan. And I'll even analyze what's sold around you to include a net sheet to show you what you walk away with. So I've got this core piece of content that hopefully leads to my best content, which is the whole package of information. So you can see how this core piece of content becomes part of a bigger, unique selling proposition. So I'm always thinking ladders of value, keep stacking the value. But the one that relates to everybody who's interested in real estate in that geography you do business, who may or may not be able to sell, and they're all interested in how's the market. They all want to know. So study that first and create a core piece of content. And that gives you what you need first, right? So what's the second critical piece of content that real estate agents must create? Well, buyer and seller tips. So if I go into, let me just go into this for a second. I'll grab the seller, the seller tips. I wrote an entire course per se on seller tips, but I put it in the order that it was supposed to be in so that if I gave it as a presentation, which if I showed you and I did this all in week 3, by the way, so you can go back and watch this. There's the fully articulated booklet that is loaded with fully written tips on pricing, on condition, on staging, on marketing, etc. And then I have a presentation that just takes that out so that I talk about it when I present, but I'll leave this so you can read it. But this is a really nice piece of content because it tells somebody what to do in the order that they're supposed to do it with or without me. So that's a great piece of content that is then created. So I have that ready to go. So the one-page market update and then the buyer and seller tips. So what are those tips again? Tips on pricing it right. Tips on how to improve your condition, what to do, what not to do in those types of things. Staging and how that really puts the sizzle on the steak when you're trying to get top dollar. Marketing and what is marketing actually? Everybody has a misperception of marketing. And oftentimes the agent who's newer or doesn't have a long resume is getting killed because they keep trying to compete with somebody who has a resume when you don't have to. You can come into this business from day one and properly explain how marketing works. The way you prep a house, then you syndicate it through MLS and everybody sees it. Now the buyer sees it directly and they may or may not call their agent. But then all the push marketing stuff we do, open houses, etc. You could go on and on and on under each of these categories as they follow a loop to a sold, right? So there's all sorts of micro tips under the macro tips. Macro, pricing, conditions, staging, marketing. Now we call this section, we change this to feedback, because when you're running an open house, for example, or doing a showing, and that means that a lot of what came before that in this section, you're getting feedback, and now you're learning, do we make adjustments, right? And then there's the negotiation phase and how to do that correctly, how to be prepared mathematically to use the pricing it right information during negotiation to make your case for somebody, right? And then the closing process. There are just so many tips that you can go through and educate a seller. And of course, we have a whole course for the buyer. So we really have 13 macro steps and about 4 under each one, right? Where you can talk deeper. So now all of a sudden that core content gets layered in with the market. How's the market? Great. Oh, you're thinking about selling? Here's what to do. You're thinking about buying? Here's what to do. Think about how much content I'm talking about right now. Does it sound like you could easily do a tip a week and then do a market update once a month? Well, I'll let you hear the logic part of that, right? The answer is yes, of course. It's rhetorical. So what are the main components of the buyer plan? Similar. Let's talk about representation, especially a hot topic now with all the pushback is, do you need a rep? Of course you need a rep. I mean, you're running around. Like we have a buyer that came directly to us on one of our listings and didn't want representation. It's like, why not? If I wasn't helping him and we don't have a formal relationship because they asked for not, okay, so we'll just guide you anyway. As the fiduciary to the seller, we got to keep this together. So even though I'm not formally representing you because you didn't want it, I'm going to represent you. So it just goes to show buyers how they're just clueless about this, because they keep thinking it's all about money because our stupid industry can't make it about anything but commission. No, it's about representation. If I do a good job representing you, my fees are non-issue. If I can educate you and empower you to get a good deal or to understand whether it is or isn't, I'm worth it. Then financing. A good rep talks to you about where's the money coming from. Is it a money market fund? Cash? And if it's not one of those, are you liquidating? Then you better get out in front of it, right? And then once you see what you want to spend, look at some sold properties if you're a buyer. Stop running around to open houses and seeing asking prices. Look at some sold prices, and I could go on and on, right? Tour your favorites. Go back and adjust what you're looking at. And then be ready for negotiation to understand, how do you analyze a property? I know you went on Zillow and Redfin. It's so confusing. They give a range, and this one says 265. That one says 295. It's so confusing. How do you negotiate through all that, right? And then lastly, the closing process for the buyer too, right? So here we go about that frequency. So now we've talked about this, right? We've got 2 really important pieces of content. Now remember, what's the subject tonight? Social media marketing. So the platforms upon which this content gets shared, right? A little drum roll as we move towards that. So how often should the real estate agent create those pieces of content? At least once per week. Now, this is great because if you make a booklet of tips, it's evergreen. So I have 28 tips in this, plus or minus. And on the buy side, there's 6 macro steps, 24. So again, you can do the quick math there. You understand I have nearly a year's worth of content, right? That's what I have. I have a year's worth of content once a week. How convenient and beautiful is that? But what happens when the year runs out? You regurgitate it. You do it again. Do you think anybody went back and looked at your content and sees that you said the same thing? No, the bus moved on. It's a new group of people where there's relevance to this, right? They have a relevancy. So you just keep creating it once per week over and over. So evergreen, if you have a immutable laws, by the way, mean unbreakable. If the only way to sell a house is to go through these 7 steps, the only way to buy a house is to go through these 6 steps, which is true for both, and they're not going to change anytime soon unless there's a major change in our business, right? Then they're evergreen, meaning they're always relevant. So you could stop and do a tip on them every single week for years, unless we have some dramatic change. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm working on the seller course, a little bit arduous to go through it because there have been some changes, especially in our understanding of the very precision with which we need to talk about marketing and pricing it right. Those are two really important things as you get further into the higher level skill sets. So we talk about that, right? Now, here's where that segue comes into social media marketing. So where should the created pieces of content be put and shared out? Okay. So the first one might be not what you're thinking. Uh-oh. What happened here? Can you guys still hear me? Okay. Just got some weird message here. I don't know what that means. Okay. How about now, Roberto? Still with me? Okay. Bravo. Okay. So where should they be shared out to? Well, on a website. This is, I'm telling you, best practices here. Okay. On a website, your website, and then syndicated out or shared through a sharing tool to social media. Now, I promised you I would go to my website and I'll explain what that is. Now, of course, if you cannot afford a website, you don't work for a company that automatically has one or gives you one or whatever, you can't do this, okay? For my agents that are on this call, you can just go to our blog and you can share things from our blog. And you can natively do things yourself on social. But in a perfect world for me, I want them to go to the website and then be shared out, which I was doing today. And unfortunately, I had technical difficulty putting out what the article I want today. But I will show you what it looks like, right? So why do we want to do that? Well, because when I put a link out there in social media, I don't want it to dead end. That's not my business storefront. That's not where they can see me and learn more about me and what I offer, right? So I want to push it out. So if somebody clicks it on social, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't dead end me there, right? If I push it out to X, Elon doesn't dead end me, right? Out to LinkedIn, you get the point, right? And I'm going to show you how this all works. So why would we want backlinks from social back to us? Well, because we want to increase our website's visibility. And if you really want to get technical, that helps your ranking on search engines. So it just makes everything work. Again, high level stuff, not necessary. Okay. What must everything have? A call to action. So let me talk about this for a second too. Well, what if I don't have a website? No problem. Okay. No problem. We're going to talk about if you create the market update. I get it. You just can't do best practices. You're going to take the same market update, add a little bit of your insight as the comment, and you're going to post it to your Facebook page, right? And you're going to post it to if you have a page on LinkedIn for your business, your LinkedIn page and your profile. There, it's appropriate to do both. Be careful on your Facebook profile, your personal stuff. That's where people are kind of looking to see if you're a real human. I just see too many people sharing too much business stuff there. You can get away with some sold stuff if it's with a person, but I don't really want to go to your social profile and hear about your business. It's a massive turnoff. So understand that I post mine just to my Facebook page. So if somebody searches Griffin Realty Group on Facebook, they're going to find it and they're going to see relevancy of these posts. But I'm taking that one piece of content. I'm not creating 3 different pieces of content. Facebook page, LinkedIn page and profile, and I might just share it out to X too, right? Now, of course, if it's the poor person's website, do it on YouTube. But remember, YouTube, you have to turn anything into a video. So if you were going to do the market update, you could, record yourself talking about it. So, like a picture in picture. So there's the image, you get it, you can put it up there, okay? And your website, can become a YouTube channel. So if you don't have a website, you can do a freebie YouTube channel. Now you have all of these social media venues upon which you have that market update, right? For me, it's a little bit easier because I do it another way, right? But let's get into the pro tips and then I'll do a little show and tell and we'll do some Q&A. So that is not what we wanted. So I won't do pro tips today. I'm going to leave it on this screen. Let me stop sharing that screen and go to the website. So let me show you what that looks like, what I just said. Okay, again, don't sweat this. This is why I cringe when I talk about social media marketing, even when I'm teaching you, because it can blow your head off, your shoulders. It's so much more important to learn how to make one of these unique selling proposition packages. Everybody on my watch should learn how to make that. Okay, everybody. That's the most important thing. Most important call you will ever have with me on this course is week 3, where we talk about. Let me just double check. That's week 3. Yes, week 3, the unique selling proposition package. I talk about it in detail. Okay. So here, Roberto, just give me a holler that you can see this. My website. Okay, good. So the news in the blog section of a website, by the way, this is a website built on WordPress. WordPress has been around since the early ages of the internet, and it was intended as a blogging software, a free one, an open source, as they call it, right? And so now you can take that same source, and my partner Eric, who's a genius, a tech genius, helped me put together the whole website. But the key piece here tonight is we're talking about this, which is the blog. Okay, so if you go to a blog, it's where we post all these things, right? So there's a market update and there's an article too, by the way. So what I've done over time is, in addition to that core piece of content right there, okay, that core piece of content, that gets put up there regularly. So, at the end of the year, we had a whole bunch of them. All of our micro areas were all put up here. Now, these each become that shareable piece of content, but this is the warehouse, right? This is where all these things are warehoused. This is where they're all stacked up here. So when you look through here, my core market has always been Cape Cod. So here's the end of the year. So what you do here is you come in here and you go continue reading. So you open it up. So if you look at the link here, I am on this one individual piece of core content, which I talked about being the market update. So there it is, right? That's all it looks like. And again, we game our, this whole thing is gamed by me, meaning I set this up the way I want. But you see these share tools over here. This is what makes, for me, social media marketing easy. And it's all free. None of this is paid for social media marketing. Those are ads. Don't be confused with social media marketing of pushing content around for free versus putting money behind it. I could if I wanted to. If I had some intent that putting money behind this would help me get listings or convert listings at or above the median price, then I would do so. But I know that they don't. I know I can put my money elsewhere, right? That is more direct line, pushing somebody to become my prospect and then my client. But look at how easy this is with share tools. I just click on Facebook, right? And off I go. Let me see if I can share this tab instead. Okay. So now I just clicked on that and I'm there. I have to be logged in actually as Griffin Realty Group. Okay. So let me just show this. I really need to be that person because that's my page. Remember, I told you that's where to share it. So if I'm sharing the content out there, let me just shut this down for a second. Okay. And did I stop sharing? Yeah, I did, didn't I? Hang on. Yeah, lots of stuff on the screen at once. Okay, let me go back there. Let me go to StreamYard, share that too. I want to make sure we get this right on YouTube too. Okay, here we go, back in action. All right, so now what happens is if I go back to the blog, let's share this tab instead, I'm going to do this again. I should be set up correctly this time. So now I am in that one piece for the market update. I click share, okay? And it's going to now be in my Griffin Realty Group Facebook page. And I will be able to say something about this, right? I can say, okay, incredible, right? Cape Cod average home price ends the year over 1 million. Okay. Sexy headline, right? Compelling headline. I'm going to just call title casing when you just go capitalize each word. I didn't know that until somebody taught me that. That's title casing because those are the keywords, right? Cape Cod average home price ends the year over 1 million bucks. And again, I have down below, I have that. So I could just hit share and I'm done, right? I'm done. So now that's going to go syndicate out there. You can see it's there, right? So it's all there. And I don't like the way it shows, but I can figure that out later. So if I go in there, that's that. I'm going to grab that headline because I'm going to watch and show you how easy this is, right? So now I will stop sharing that. Oh, no, I blew it again. Hang on. Sorry, Roberto. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm going to figure this out. Let me get back to sharing it. Bear with me because it's important for you to understand how this works. And this is all the free stuff. That's the great news. This is how you really just manipulate all the free stuff, right? You don't have to go in there and make up all these crazy things. Just, again, you can just post this too. You don't have to share it from a website. If you just post it, you're gonna be in the same kind of mindset here, right? But now I come back here and we can go to X and it's gonna be the same thing. So X, right? So now X is a little bit trickier because I have only so many words. So I'll just do that quickly. I don't give much thought to X as being a place where they'll vet me, but gone. So now there's some, content there. So I will go and, yeah, it's not what I wanted. Let's see. Okay, bear with me. I'm going to go to here again. And my last one is LinkedIn, right? So you get the point, right? That's how it works. Now, all of a sudden, I just took the same piece of content, put the same headline up there, and I just come in there. Now, this is a little bit trickier. It used to be easier to do this because I wanted to, do it to my business page. So I have to go back there and figure that out, but I'm not going to do it tonight. So what happens is I can go back there and discard. Let's see. If I were to share it there, I would have had another post there, right? So again, because I'm trying to show you too many things here. Let's go. Okay, now you're seeing too much stuff. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So you get the point there. That's what sharing to social looks like. So when I don't have to share it with you at the same time and StreamYard and everybody, it's like 1, 2, 3, because I created that piece of content somewhere where it lives and I share to Facebook, LinkedIn, and X. Okay. Now, the trick with Instagram, Paul Cantu and all the group in Seattle, Paul does an excellent job. He takes his time to take the very same content and he shares it. And I think he does a couple of areas on social that you can't share from a tool. That is a native direct. Same thing with TikTok and others that only allow, especially it's the vertical folks, that you have to share directly to them with content because they want live content. Really, that's what they want, right? So there you go. That's how that all works. Now, does it work is the question. How does it work? Well, when I have our telemarketers pick up the phone, read our scripts, which we get into in this course, read our scripts, make the offer of information, send it out. I drive by. They said he drove by. It looks great. He'd love to get in. I get in. We do more for them when we get in, and that's give them tips on what to do and what not to do. And we analyze things and give them a net sheet. Okay. Usually I leave and they want to do some more vetting. So where do you think they go? They go to wherever they want to go. They will Google me and look up Griffin Realty Group, Danny Griffin. And one of them the other day, I believe, came into one of these spots here. Okay. Just don't know. Let me see what I wrote on my bio on my own individual page. Yes. So I have a little bit of a bio here. And so somebody read this week. Okay. So this is how this works, right? When I give them that information, they know where to find me because it says Griffin Featured Properties or the Griffin.co. So they don't have to go hunting and pecking. And so when they went and looked at agents and they can get my about page, this is what I want them to know about us, right? And he said, I read your bio. It's very impressive, right? So this is also content. And again, I'm going beyond the core content because I don't have all night long to teach you content marketing, but I do say that those 1-2 pieces, but of course, these other places, when somebody's trying to vet you and figure out who you are, right? I got to get a new picture, Paul. Remind me of that. That guy is way too young looking. So anyway, the idea is when you look at that, this is what it is, right? That people are going to go check you out and they're going to go figure all this stuff out, right? And lastly, the other things are obviously as you start to become successful, one of the greatest pieces of content is your featured active listings and your featured sold listings. So we really gamed our whole system here to be able to show that too, right? So that's what these all are. These are our active solds and it's our living, breathing resume. So if I wanted to go and share a piece of content that is, one of my top listings, I could do the same thing, right? A little snafu here, but I could come out and share that listing right there to Facebook and say, hey, I'm having an open house at this thing today. Now, again, would it be seen? I don't know. I don't think so, but at least it would be up there in the case that somebody finds me that way. So if you really understand the basics of having good content, putting it up on a website, and then using social media for free. I want you to use these platforms for free. I don't want you spending money. I want you creating this branded, place where you are, content rich. And again, like I said, you're already paying for the market update stuff. So that's where I would start. Secondly, we talk about the unique selling propositions, all the Griffin agents in here out in Seattle or Massachusetts or the Realty Classroom coaching members. You have access to all of this. Use it, right? Okay, enough of that. We went 45 minutes strong here. I am going to come back in here and open up for questions before we wrap for the night. So any thoughts or questions about this subject here tonight? Roberto, you're on the Beard Club with me, huh? I didn't even notice that earlier today. Yeah. See if you get kicked out of the house. It's up to your wife, right? Yeah, for sure. Because I said so much about YouTube, it probably merits a little bit of a slower discussion there. Let me see. Bear with me. I'm gonna get off there. I'm on the Realty Classroom one, so let me go to the Griffin site and let me see where we are here. Bear with. I'm gonna try to get us to my channel. Yeah. Okay. So let me share my screen again because it is important for you to understand the role YouTube plays. So YouTube, I can take YouTube videos and I can embed them into my website. But if you don't have a website, like I just said, this is the poor person's website, YouTube, because it's for free. And I say poor person tongue in cheek, right? I mean, that doesn't mean anything. You could be rich and do this and just be smart about it, right? But you can see, and again, I don't worry too much about it, but our active featured properties, our luxury properties, as we have videos, this is only if we have a video of it, right? If I don't have a video of it, then it's not going to go up here. So obviously some of my better stuff can go up here, especially these are ones where I'm all mic'd up and it's a walk and talk video, right? So then sold featured properties. But we actually, I will readily admit, I need to upgrade our attention to social media marketing management. Okay. We have a gal in Pakistan. She does an okay job of staying on top of some of this stuff, but you can see there's my real estate market update. So 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So it's all there. You see, it all hosts itself there before it's shared to the site. right? So I have one for Boston, and I want to be known now more for Boston because the prices up there are just consistently higher, and we want to build that book. So I put that first, but it's a playlist. And Cape Cod, and then there was a while ago where I did all of. Oh, you can't. Oh, you can't. Oh, okay. Thank you for stopping me. Um, bear with. Let's see. Okay. Okay. How about now? Yeah. Okay, so let's do it again. So here's what I did, right? I created this more like a website. And now, again, if you see something here, it's somewhere embedded on my website too, but you wouldn't need that. You could do it here. But for example, you can see me. This is one of my walk and talk videos. I'm mic'd up and I'm going through the place. You know, we've had thumbnails created for some of this better stuff, right? So this is how this all works as far as active featured properties, sold featured properties, right? Real estate market update. So I don't just put a picture of the thing up there. I actually have a script that's written that matches that market update. And the version when I'm talking about it, I'm just reading my script. You can see me looking down. It's not I'm not trying to be perfect. So I have to do one of these and that'll go up there next, right? So both marketplaces. And then I did a lot of little shorts for a while. So I've experimented with everything, right? These were all sorts of little tips, right? So those are still there if somebody wants them. Then I used to do a podcast of the tips, right? Where I would go through it. But man, did that take me a lot of time. So you can see my own evolution of this is I want to be efficient with my time as much as I liked doing this and I thought these were, really great, and I could push them out. You can see, unless I spent a lot of time promoting them or whatever, there weren't a lot of views, but they were on my website. And I did change my website to just have my 7 steps on a static page that somebody can go to for free and anytime. They don't have to go looking through all this stuff, right? And then, there's some lower end sold stuff and some of the older stuff down the bottom, but that can be a website. And the way you do it is your actives, your solds, your real estate market updates. And then in here, you like the podcast stuff, you would put your tips and you could just do 7 tips for sellers, 6 tips for buyers, just one video piece. And voila, you would have what I have. So if you want that, just go find, the Griffin Real Estate. I changed the name of here because we have our affiliates now in Seattle and Arizona as we expand Griffin across the country. So I just made this a little bit more broad based. And eventually we'll probably just take the best featured listings from all major markets. Everything will evolve, right? But if you're a brand new agent, you wanted to just do something like this, I would do this yesterday, right? That's what I would do. All right. Questions beyond that, Roberto, or comments? Yours was more a comment. Anybody else? I yeah, yeah, yeah. As far as the website is concerned, the first thing is we just need to get your stuff up there, and then talk about one of the things that you can do is just share out from the main blog off of the site out there, and as you share that, you give your own insights. But I will go through that with you. Yeah, I will personally. You're welcome. Good. What else? Yep. 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 Sure. Good. Yes. Yeah. Best time tomorrow. Yeah. Jump on the mastermind with it. That's the best time. I'll be sitting still. Yep. I'll be sitting still. Yep. Fire. Yep. very far. Here, you want to hear me? Want to hear me say something dramatically? I could teach you how to make money in this business without one at all. Yeah. No, I don't recommend that, but I'm just going to say that. I could teach you how to make those packages of information and how to door knock, even if you don't want to make a phone call, and present those to people until enough of them said yes. So it's not necessary. Now, do I think you should have a basic one? Yes, because people want to vet you, they want to stalk you and make sure you're real and you're safe, right? So so the best thing is a very basic level, right? So yes, if I were brand new, I would have a very basic level Instagram because people use it a lot, a very basic level, profile on Facebook. So as a human being, a profile on Facebook and Instagram. Zuckerberg controls an enormous amount of traffic. And most people are on those and they're going to go vet you. I'm not a TikTok guy because I just ran out of time. It's just too many platforms, right? So I didn't do that. But in a modern context, I could make the case that you're just copying Instagram and TikTok are the same thing, as far as I'm concerned. So you put the same piece of content there, just once a week on those three things, and absolutely having a LinkedIn profile, a basic one, right? And then just once a month with Paul, you could just post the JPEG, right? Or whatever format LinkedIn will take. So you'd be covering four of them with a very basic thing, right? Each, even if it was just once a month, you just took that across all four of those, right? That's it. Then you can get vetted, right? Your name, your company, who you are, and then there's this social media. So they see you're legit. That's probably what I would recommend at the very bare minimum. But like I said, it's not a primary way to get business in as far as I'm concerned. People will argue, what are you talking about? I got an expired off of, YouTube. Really? How long did it take you? Right? And you got one? We talk to expireds every day on the phone, right? I mean, that we make phone calls and people answer. We talk to them all the time. So you want to go to the fastest path to having a conversation with somebody who owns a listing, right? And it's not social media. It never will be. It will be picking up the phone and calling them or knocking on their door. Or just meeting them in open house because they're interested and they're coming to you. Go to them, door knock, telephone. Come to you, open house. There's nothing faster. There never will be. Social media will never beat those mediums as long as we can still do them, right? No, no, never. No, never. Even when I spent money on it. And when I didn't spend money on it, got them, they were not median and above listings. They were buyers that weren't even serious. I wasted a lot of money and time on social media marketing. And I'm a coach for a lot of years. And I do this. And I had a lot of people that I had to coach. I wanted it to work, but it never worked better than what I do now. Never, not even close. Not even close. Not even close. Yep. Again, that's my experience. That's real world experience. It's not an opinion, right? I'm not giving you my opinion. I would love social media to work because it might be a lot easier than some of the stuff we do, but it doesn't. Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what they do though. They yeah, they listen. They will look for me to see if I'm real. They will use this to find my open house and my telephone number and call me and say, can you wait for me at the open house? So there is definitely stuff they will use this for. And it is digitalized media. There's no doubt about it. Okay. But it's not necessarily what people think it is. People love, yeah, I love to teach you how to do something for free. If you let the MLS know you're having an open house, which I'm already booked for my 4 open houses for the weekend, it's on these phones and people are going to come to those. I ran an open house this weekend for a listing I just got this week. And this one couple came through and guess what? They called their realtor and bought it for full price. I'm done in a couple of days. Right now, beautiful property, a luxury cottage at 1.2, is just a unique place. Boom. That doesn't mean some of the other stuff doesn't take me 2-3 weeks. Some of the stuff takes me 6 months, but I know how to leverage media, right? And it's by having my stuff on a website so that when they find out I'm the listing agent, they'll go to my world and find me. That's why I'm saying you could mic yourself up and do just a walk and talk through your listing, right? You could do that. You can actually do that, like have a buddy follow you around with this, right? And be mic'd with a wireless mic to this. And you got yourself a video that's good enough, could go up on YouTube, right? And now all of a sudden, that's your website. And you have the keywords for the, the address, et cetera. So there's so many ways to do this right with the right content and for free. This is mind-boggling how many ways there are. But it doesn't necessarily help you sell a house. What helps you sell a house, number one, is to get it. Pick up the phone, call somebody, offer them information that nobody else is offering, follow up, right? 2, open house it to death so they see that you're really working it until you find a co-broke or a direct buyer who's going to buy it, right? There's no rocket science to this business in the way that it works at its best. But yes, of course, I want them to be able to find me digitally so they see I'm real. Just like that guy said to me, I read your resume. It's impressive, right? That's what he said. So I had my resume out there digitally. I didn't tell him to go look at it. I just simply gave him a package of information. And people say to me, one of my coaching clients said to me, they said, we don't talk enough about ourselves. I said, whoa, no. And that's like scratching on a chalkboard. People couldn't care less about us until they care about us, right? So if you get down the line and you've been educating somebody and somebody just wants to say, is he real? You better have a place where they can go see he's real, right? Meaning just a real person. He's not a serial killer, right? I mean, I'm not talking about, is he real with a resume? Does he have 25 years? No, because you're not that guy. So I'm telling you, they just want to see that you're not a serial killer. I know I'm saying that tongue in cheek to be a wise guy, but that's what I mean. They just want to see you're a real human being, because if you're nice to them and you're giving them information and they're like, wow, this guy's sending me some really good information. Now they just want to see who you are. I mean, they're not going to invite you into your house until there's been some understanding of who you are, right? Good. All right, one more question. If I don't want to leave someone hanging, but we're over by a minute, and I don't like to do that to you on this call. We good? Okay, cool. All right, appreciate you being here live. Really fun as usual, and good questions as usual. And see you all next week. Okay, keep plugging. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, gang. See you later.